Good evening, friends. I'm Lalmohan Rajak, author cum motivational speaker. Today, we are going to talk on comprehensive community development program. It is a dream project for me. If you want to have a developed nation and it is applicable to any nation, whether it is developing or developed, to become a developed nation, we have to see the parameters which are responsible to make a nation developed. Take example of one of the developed nations in the world. I have been to one of the developed nations, and when I saw the formulas there, I could think and find that that is the perfect formula for any country to be transformed into a developed nation. The transformation takes place with a combination of efforts put by, firstly, by the government of that particular country. Second, the education, culture, social, infrastructure, thought process. These are responsible, and to have a cohesiveness, a practical and comfortable combination of all these things. The effort of government, laws, rules and regulations, technologies developed by the government, implementing authorities, efforts, that is the bureaucrats, officers, engineers, scientists, and the people who are responsible to educate the next generation, the children, in such a way that they dedicate themselves to keep the nation developed if the country is developed. That is a developed nation. So, what is the formula? Almost all the developed nations put more emphasis on culture of excellence. When we talk about culture of excellence, this is a combination of personal growth, social growth, and national growth, and thus it impacts the global growth. When we talk about the personal growth, it is a combination of four ingredients: strengths, quotients, physical strength, mental strength, social strength or emotional strength, and the fourth one is spiritual strength. When we talk about all these four, that those are responsible for integrated personality development. When we talk about physical strength, it is all about the effort put by the parents, mother, father, the family members to develop the child physically by supporting the balanced food, exercise, medication, vaccination, all these so that the child up to the age of 11th is adequately nourished physically, strengthened, free from diseases or the least diseases through medication, through medical care. These are the factors responsible to make a child physically strong. When the child is strong physically, the next parameter is mental strength, that is intelligence quotient. That comes from two ways. One is inheritary, and the second one is environmental. Some of the genes transferred from generations, from grandparents, parents. The number of neurons in the brain will decide what is the IQ of the child. But today, in today's generation, in today's world, when we have lot of facilities, whether it is medical, environmental, food, medicines, availability of all the essential and things which are responsible for growth are enough to have high intelligence quotient. Environment in the education system, at home, in the society, affects the intelligence quotient of the children. Quality education is the responsibility of the government and the public cumulatively. It cannot be the responsibility of only of government or of the parents. So the government schools in developed nations are adequately equipped with high standard of infrastructure, teachers with very high quality and dedication, environment, implementation methods, research and development processes. In some of the developed nations, the schooling from class 6th to 12th are just like of a premier university. When we see those schools look like world class universities. They have all the facilities, world class classrooms, sports academies, canteen facilities, food, teachers, administrators, principals, and education becomes the highest priority after defense in those developed nations. What I could see in one of the developed nation where I stayed for approximately 15 days, the children when grow into adolescents after the age of 16 or after the age of 15, compulsorily they are made to stay in government hostels for their higher studies, for high schools and higher secondary schools. This is the time when their personality grow, their thought process towards patriotism, global thinking, critical thinking are on the rise. When they stay together with other adolescents, what they develop and what they leave, what they receive and what they leave. Take example of underdeveloped or developing nations. Which are the factors keep the adolescents, the youths, and that remain with them when they are grown up? Adults become adults and old. That is factionalism, groupism, casteism. The people are divided on the name of caste, creed, race, religion. Their thought process says are different. And those thought processes keep the youths, the adolescents, and the grown up people away from the developmental process of the nation as a whole. They keep fighting with each other on the name of caste, creed, race, religion, region, economical condition. In the developed nations, or where I went, I saw the factionism, the differences, the discrimination on the basis of those what I explained earlier are missing in the developed nations education system when the students, the youths, the adolescents reside together, sit, sleep together, eat together, play together, and they are known as the would be citizen of that particular nation. In some of the developing nations, people are known by different names, by their castes, by their religions, by their regions, by their races, by their economical conditions. Some are rich, some are poor. Likewise, but in developed nations, these differences are almost nullified. In some of the developed nations where people join defense and they stay together, grow together, these feelings and the discriminatory thoughts somewhat gets reduced, but since it has taken root when the youths or the adults were children and adolescents, these discriminatory thoughts do not go away completely. So the developed nations know these problems. They have the rules, regulations, and they have convinced their citizens. And who are the government? Government are the people only, citizens, run by their representatives. So the people of those developed nations have taken decision that yeah, we have to think as developed human being, and we have to think that we are only humans and citizen of a nation. To develop our nation and keep the nation developed, we have to eradicate all sorts of discriminatory feelings, thoughts, activities since childhood. So, when the children attain a definite age, in some of the developed nations it is 16 years. So, at the age of 16, or approximately in that age, the students are made to stay together in government hostels, and all the facilities are given to them. As in some of the developing nations, the children study in international standard residential schools, and for that they have to spend millions of rupees, and even which goes beyond that, even in crores. So the government takes care of the adolescents, the youths of the nation, and they developed the feeling, the emotion of being one, that is citizen of that particular nation. They have very high level of patriotism, and they know themselves by the name of the nation, apart from having name. But again, the names will be such that they will not be able to discriminate others, and they will not be discriminated by others. What happens? This is the age 16 to 19. These are the ages when the students, whatever they learn, those learnings become permanent, and their personalities are decidedly developed. Research and development processes are so that the economical condition of those countries have developed in folds. The students, when come out of those schools having very high standard of education and skills, now they decide whether they have to go for higher studies or they want to go for jobs, earning. If they want to discontinue for a few years, they want to work, they want to earn, they want to become independent, they do so. And after some times, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they feel that yes, now they should again go for study. They can go for study and continue and go towards the higher education and become deciding personalities of the nation. When the students go to schools, that is high schools and higher secondary schools up to class 12th, the selection of careers are not decided by the parents or enforced. As I said that in some of the developing nations, parents impose careers on their wards. And the criteria of selecting the career of the child is unjustifiable. Take example of a parent. If one of the parent or both the parents could not become something what they wanted to become, dreamt of, they want their children to become that and fulfill their dreams. Here the problem comes. I know one of my known person who was very good in biology. He was very good in physics, chemistry and biology. And he wanted to become a doctor. His parents wanted him to become an engineer. They forced him. He became a failure in life. Later on, he explained that how he was traumatized. He used to keep the books related to biology and medical inside the book of mathematics, and he used to read. After becoming an engineer, as the dream of his parents was to be fulfilled, he left engineering field, did MBA because he could have not got opportunity to become MBBS now, doctor. So he decided to leave engineering and then he did MBA. He became a successful person, but it took a lot of time and the majority part of his life was already wasted. In my case, I was never good in pure science. Although I was very good in mathematics, but I never liked science group, that is, especially chemistry and biology. Physics was somehow better. My parents were not so educated to guide me. One of my subject teachers, since I was the one of the toppers or I was the topper of my class, my teacher, a subject teacher, science subject teacher told me, convinced me to take science. And I took what? After 10th, I took physics, chemistry and mathematics. My science was extra subject in 10th. What was the result? I struggled for 2 years completing my intermediate science examination. The result was very bad. From class 2 throughout, or even class 1, I was throughout topper in my class, except 8th class. Even I became third position holder in my class. I improved, and in 9th and 10th again I became topper. What was the impact of that decision, which was entirely wrong? I was not able to take decision. I struggled for 2 years. I couldn't crack engineering competitive examinations, but in extra list I got admission in engineering college. I was not ready for that. I got a job after 12th. I joined as a subordinate. I was not ready for that. I always recalled my school days when I used to be topper, and my teachers used to tell that he will become one day one of the most powerful officer in India. That was in my mind. I continued improving my education, in which I was actually interested. And my interesting subjects were English, Hindi, mathematics, economics, except science. I did my graduation from one of the renowned university in India with first division. I did my Bachelor of Education having 176th position in all over the state. The population of that state is approximately 25 crores. I did my Master of English. After serving for 20 years in my first organization, that was one of the best organization in the world, I decided to take volunteer retirement. And then my favorite career, teaching and motivation, I started that. Since childhood, I was interested in that teaching profession. But it took approximately 23 years. After 23 years, I could realize my dreams. But again, it was already late. I wanted to be a renowned personality for my knowledge. I could. But those 23 years were not utilized in that particular field, which was the prime period for me. What I want to say that in developing and underdeveloped nations, this problem you will find always. In developed nations, when the students are put into the education system completely free from any pressure from the parents or social organizations, the government takes decision and the children take their own decisions after 16th year of age. Whatever the career they want to choose, they enjoy, and they become successful. And we know that for any strong building, the building blocks, each building block, that is brick, has to be strong. So when the people, each individual of the nation becomes stronger, developed, the nation becomes stronger and developed. This is the secret of success of developed nations. From the age of 16 to 19, 20, the personality development, career orientations are as per the capability of the individual. They are not imposed or forced to take up any career. No. What they enjoy, what they are capable of. So, what is the basic formula here works? Blending career with capability is the formula of developing nation. If an individual, an adolescent or the youth is capable of becoming a scientist, he or she is really a real scientist, becomes a real scientist. The job of scientist is what? To do research work and develop the nation. That is what the secret of success of the developed nations. So I thought once developed nations have their own secrets, why not to apply in this in developing nations or underdeveloped nations? So I could find the formula that if the students are given high quality of education from class 6 to 12th, concept building from 6 to 8th, and the career building classes are from 9th to 12th. After 8th class, a child or adolescent is able to exhibit in which field he or she is going to excel extraordinarily. In 9th class, immediately after getting admission, what I do, I suggest the parents and the students to choose the career as per the capability already the child or the adolescent has developed. And it has worked. Majority of my students, you can say 99%, are highly successful people. Once again, I'll tell you that it may be world record. IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, getting admission is one of the toughest examinations in the world. I had only 53 students in class 12th. I was the class teacher, an English teacher, motivational speaker. My principal told that only 7 students are there who are going to crack IIT main examination. I started motivating them and referred them the best books available in India for cracking IIT. The students got motivated, selected those books, started studying. Every third day, I used to give them motivation. They could study up to 18 hours a day, 5.5 or 6 days in a week, and they continued up to 50 weeks. And the result was, when IIT main examination result was notified, out of 53, 20 students of my class cracked IIT main examination. There were 54 students in my class, but one student has left, and remaining 53, and out of 53, 20 students cracked joint entrance examination main in first time. After a few years, my principal sent me photograph of class teachers and students circling one of the students that your student has cracked UPSC examination, got 17th rank in India. He became IAS. So likewise, one of the banking services coaching center appointed me as competitive English trainer. In a class of 60 or 65, I could find some of the students are very good and they could become probationary officer in banking field. Becoming clerk in banking services and becoming probationary officer makes a lot of difference. And the requirement to become a probationary officer from being clerk, the difference is to have knowledge of English language. I started teaching them competitive English language actually. That is part of, that includes English grammar, sentence, reading comprehension, and this different way of teaching enable approximately 25 students to crack probationary officers in first year, and subsequently some 10 to 15 students. So approximately 40 students could qualify probationary officers. And likewise in so many other examinations. One of the students who was studying in class 11th, who wanted to become a doctor, but with the pressure of their parents, his parents, he had taken physics, chemistry, maths and biology, all 4 subjects. I asked him, if you want to become a doctor, why are you taking mathematics? That is the subject to become an engineer. He told me, my parents told me to take as a plan B. If I am not successful in biology cracking medical examination, I shall go for engineering. I motivated, counseled him. Although he kept mathematics, but he put his effort wholeheartedly in biology and he became a doctor. So, likewise, implementing this formula, that is blending career with capabilities, I could produce a good number of successful people. And that is the basic and the secret of success of the developed nations. In India, when we see 67% approximately population resides in rural areas, the education system what we see is entirely different than what we see in the developed urban areas, semi developed suburbans, that is different. So, approximately 20 to 25% of the people, of the students, of the youths are able to succeed in India very nicely, but majority of the population, the youths, are either sub-employed or unemployed. To transform a developing nation into a developed nation, we need a complete transformation in education system from class 6 to 12th. That is modern English medium schools up to class 12th. In all the panchayats, in a population of 10,000, we need one 10 plus 2 English medium school which can ensure very high quality education and able to develop competitive minds. That is what I want to tell. Thank you so much. Once again, I am Lal Mohan Rajak, author cum motivational speaker. We'll see in the next video in the same comprehensive community development program some other factors. Thank you so much.